but you in 2024, December, same interruption, break it.
Let me answer this question. I would like to ask the age to propose legislation for what we call small claim court. There are lots of court cases, for an example, yesterday, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms, but the lawyer fee is greater than the fee you claim.
It is just right. I'm right. The right that someone has, all of the rights that exist in context. We have second amendment. Because we respected the process. No, Jesus is the common sense man. Any situation of the because clearly with actual Guyanese. If one can bring them the leaders of the African country together, we'll fail. And if two you can't afford a speech of music of Guyanese. Pleasant Wednesday evening to you. We had a lapse in our dialogue, meaning that one of the formats of the Freddie Kissoon show is Leonard, Craig and I. We are academics in our own right. We would analyze the content of society and political phenomena in Guyana. And that was part of our format, but elections are here and we lapse a bit. So this evening, Leonard, Craig and I are going to deeply, seriously, formidably analyze the politics of Guyana as we're in the campaign. We are coming to you under the banner of the Children's Playground, brainchild of the First Lady in the National Park. As you could see, the back of us is the playhouse, part of the Children's Playground in the National Park itself. It's a beautiful ambience, and the cameras would not be able to pick up. There's a group of children in front of Craig and I, near to the car park. So it's a lovely ambience, and we plan to do this more often as the months progress. So, without further ado, we will start our introduction. I will start mine, then Leonard Craig will come in. You know, Craig is now the most controversial person in politics in the Caribbean. Wow, in the Caribbean. Now, I don't want to repeat what he said, because that's just my preference. I am no squeamish person. I grew up very rough in Wortmanville, but that is my choice. I don't think it has any moral weight. People have different choices. I certainly do not. I would not use the words Craig used on the campaign trail, but I wouldn't bother with that. That's of infinitesimal importance to me. Maybe no importance when you consider the immoralities that people commit in the name of politics in this country. So Craig will address what some feel is indiscretion, some feel is a slight mistake. For me, I would say a slight mistake. But let me start with what we said in our description and program. A lot of, you can't keep up with the Melly Mel, Azruddin, and Ameer Ahmad back and forth. But one thing seemed to be clear is that I believe there's a politician behind that. That politician wants to pelt dirt at the PPP leadership, and so you're finding this Melly Mel, Azruddin, Ameer. I think somebody's at work there. And then there's this thing about Bash, and it went to the sordid level, oh my God, man, of bringing in the president's mother. When you see these things, you just know you have to vote against these wild opposition people. These are the people you pay any attention to. You should not. But I want to say this. When I was at Kaichor, there's a well-known journalist attached to a television station, And we had evidence that he was shaking down business people. This man shakes down people. And there are people involved in social media that you call social media influencers are shaking down people. I know a man who owns one of the most patronized reconditioned car company, and he told me this lady attempted to shake him down over an extramarital affair that she had knowledge over. These people are sickening. Please don't pay any attention to them. But you know who's behind all this. You can't keep up with it on the social media thing. But one thing for sure, they're being exposed. So over to the man who is all over the news, making social media because in bad settlement, as part of his final statement before he went on stage at the PPP Bat rally, he said some things which hypocrites are using against him. Hypocrites who have committed unspeakable indiscretions for which they should not be part of politics. And Craig just used a word, you know, right, two words. Here's Craig.
Let me deal with this frontally. First of all, good evening to you viewers. Good evening to everyone tuned in. I will deal with this matter. I will speak on it now and only now, and I'm done with it.
Well, you were done with it. Suppose people keep bringing it up.
No, that is a matter for them. From my side, I am done with it. Right? And let me say this. I went to Bath with a prepared script in my head. I knew the sequence of what I wanted to say and all of that. And it was a speech that was supposed to last from between 5 to 8 minutes. That was the slot that was given to me, 5 to 8 minutes. When I got there, I saw like about 12 people on stage, and I did not realize that all of those persons had to speak. And each person had their slot. Some people had a 2-3 minute slot, what have you. And I didn't realize all those people had to speak. But then when I spoke to the chairperson and he told me all of these people had to speak, and then as the people who spoke before me were going a little over time, the vice president who was sitting to the front turned around and said, everybody else got trimmed their speech. And then the moderator of the program told me, hey, you just got 2 minutes. And I said, you know what happened? 2 minutes can't do justification to what I'm going to say, and I'm already here. I don't want to just leave, because for me it would have made better sense not speaking at all. And I am telling you, when you sit there, that crowd was electric. The crowd was really electric. And I said, you know what happened? Forget speech. I just go in and hype up this crowd and sit down. So what I said there was nowhere in the plan of what I planned to say. It was nowhere in the plan. I had a structured speech. And Freddie, I have presented for you in class, and you know I was one of your better presenters. So presenting a cogent, prepared script is second nature to me. I do presentation in church. I study at the highest level of education and make presentation. And there was nobody who has ever sat with me in a class, nobody who has ever taught me, who could say that I am deficient in that. I was a member of the University of Guyana Debating Society. I debated and won. And my name and my team name is on a plaque at UG for having won debates. Represented UG in debates. And so presenting a cogent speech is second nature to me. That's not a problem for me. And I'm saying that because of the limited time, I just tell myself I'm not here, I'm making no speech, I hyping out this crowd, I going on the energy, the electricity of the crowd, and sit down and that's it. And I will admit before all of you that my speech at the end, especially the very last statement,
contain some amount of verbal indiscretion, I would refer to it as. Right? Or what some people will say, well, Freddie has told me off camera that, you know, that statement went a little too far. And a lot of people have called me and expressed that, and I respect that. I acknowledge that, and I respect that. But now, let me just deal with something straight up. Some of these people who are coming after me, that some of you are following and things, these hate-filled people who are coming after me. Some of these people lecturing me about my moral rectitude, let me deal with some of them. They got one fair-skinned bald-head one that's up on your internet every day. He then home and just ill-treat his wife and lecturing me about moral rectitude. They got another man, 200 and something million Guyana dollars of taxes collected. Your taxes collected on behalf of the state for VAT, 200 and something million dollars. Plow it back into his business and keep turning it over. You know how many small business people, if you give them a capital, half that amount, how it will be life-changing to them? And that person use up your tax money, plow it into the business, and when GRA say, man, come and thing and pay some interest, the person cry broke what would be the equivalent in America of filing for bankruptcy, claim that they're bankrupt, not to even pay $1 of interest. And guess when this person did that? The person is a supporter of the opposition, and they did that when they realized the government changed hands. Run and cry broke at GRA. Literally what would be the equivalent of filing for bankruptcy after using your money. And after running up interest debt of $100 and something million and didn't pay it to the state and lecturing me about moral rectitude, that kind of money will build $10 million houses in Guyana for people. And for low-cost house, it will build $45 million low-cost house. And lecturing me about moral rectitude, there's another one who attacking me, and he is from overseas. And let me be straight with you, none of his family's close friends or nobody has ever seen him with a woman that is referred to as his love interest. Never, ever, ever. This man in the closet, poking me from in the closet and telling me, talking to me about moral rectitude. Man, these people that you are following up, these people, my slip of the tongue is nowhere close to some of them. They got another one who was on a double murder charge and get off because of a legal technicality and not based on the merits of the case. The merits of the case wasn't presented in court. He get off double murder. And this man there on the internet lecturing me about my moral rectitude. Then you have another one. You hear what I'm saying? He held high state power in this country and facilitated the transfer of over 70 million Guyana dollars. That is $10 million houses or $5 million houses for poor people, to somebody who has never supplied the equipment that was promised to be supplied to Guyana. Never supplied it, and that person is close to him and wants to lecture me about my moral rectitude for a slip of the tongue for talking about slime. Let me tell you something. I am in this political arena, and I know a lot of these people. Their lifestyle is nowhere close. They get another one of them that's run an online news organization. This man was charged for rape in Guyana, and the matter didn't go through because the person accepted compensation and lecturing me about moral rectitude, about my moral rectitude, because yes, I would admit I got carried away at a campaign meeting and hype up a crowd that was electric, and I follow that energy. But having said that, I've said that and thing. I'm saying to the people of Guyana and the people who are following, these people are looking for anybody to latch on to hate for any little thing. They want to spew hate. And what did I say that has anything to do with being with all the racial invective that they bring? With that, don't be carried away with these people. I see some people who I know personally have jumped on their bandwagon when these people could have just called me and say, and in that vein, I want to mention one particular name.
No.
No. It's nothing libelous or anything. I just want to mention one particular name. And it's a young lady you and I both know, and we've known her for a long time, and we know her well.
Oh, so you're not criticizing, you're not saying
No. Miss Elsie Harry.
Right, I know her.
She also, very fine young woman.
Yeah.
Very lovely.
High Elsie, right.
I hold her in high regard.
Yeah.
But she also was carried away by this thing, and she had to get her 5 minutes of fame in the internet space and all of that. She didn't say anything specifically insulting, even though they were innuendo.
I read her thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Nothing.
She was not nasty to you.
Exactly, she was not. However, it is somebody I know personally, somebody who fetched my child, who cradled my child, right? Somebody who knows my children, somebody who knows my wife, and somebody who has my number. Elsie, you could have called me and tell me how much you're disappointed in me, but you had to go and fall for this thing and do this thing in a social media space. And while you were not nasty to me, a lot of the comments below, you created a garden, a farm for nastiness towards me.
She fertilized the garden of nastiness.
Exactly. And a lot of people who knows me personally did that. Don't be caught up with
a lot of people who know you, right? Right,
a lot of people who know me personally, sorry. Don't be caught up with these people. These people, some of their transgressions, that one word and that moment of weakness, quote unquote, what's the word you use? Infinitesimal. It is in this grand scheme of thing and the grand scheme of politics and all of that. Coming after me for that, and then writing articles upon articles, and some of these people, you know, there's a term in the Bible that I whitewash sepulchre full of dead men bones. That's the lifestyle some of them get, and come in and lecture me about moral rectitude. Another man got his wife home crying and fertilizing another woman's home and building a house for a certain farmer. Man, let me stop there because I don't want to be nasty like
No, listen. Don't stop. We're in the election campaign. My entire life, I'm in my early 70s. I have 58 years of activism, 26 years as an academic teaching at UG, and 26 years in journalism. And I have seen what a nasty, immoral, incredibly degenerate country this is. With people criticizing politicians in power, and they are worse. Go on, we're in an election campaign. Let people know about these monsters, that we should not even look at them, much as put an X for them to run the leading Caribbean country that is now going into the world as a petro state. Before Craig comes back, I am telling you from the bosom of my heart, you're speaking to someone who's been around a long time. These people are immorally unfit to be part of society. And I'm telling you what I know 58 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. You see that sermon that Craig just announced? People beat their wives, people rob their workers, people do all kinds of things, and they would talk about, oh, bad governance. We need to see this document. There's no transparency. Look, we should play this tape again. with the introductory remarks by Craig. Craig, go on.
Freddie, you like a controversy, eh?
I don't like a controversy. I like historiography. I like adding to history.
I don't wish to go on further. I think I've said my piece. I have addressed two categories of people here. Category one are the people, many of them who are coming up, the ones that are more vehement and most hateful. They got closets that got more than
skeletons larger than jaws.
They got more than skeletons in the closet. You hear what I'm saying? And then that's one that looking for a little thing for spew hate on and bringing all kinds of things. And you know why? They are looking after people whose life and history is clean. They ain't got nothing against me. So they hear the word slime, right? I use the word slime probably in an inappropriate.
Look, it was an unfortunate word that people use, and it's no big thing.
Right.
You bother with these jackasses and monsters.
Probably the timing and all of that, you know, in better judgment.
I wouldn't repeat the first, but I like the first one though.
In better judgment, I should have think.
Not that I like it, I found it interesting.
And what people here should look at also, the people who have come after me most vehemently are men. I wonder if they are uncomfortable with the word erection, Freddie. If there's
You're gone again. You're gone
I
again.
wonder if they're uncomfortable with the word erection. And so those people who poking me from inside the closet.
You know I'm the luckiest man in the world, because I've been around so long and so much have said about me that even if I do something, if I thief, or if I tell another woman, hey, can we have lunch? And I did it. If it is said, nobody believe, because so much has been said about me that people can just say, man, they gone with Freddie again. But don't let these people get to you. What I want, I'm sorry we can't play this back. We have guests on Friday. We have the call-in on Monday. We have guests on Wednesday. So we kind of booked up. But I would like to play back this program, and maybe we could play back a part on our Monday call-in, that a man was charged for rape and criticizing Craig for just using a little slightly vulgar reference. A man charged with double murder. Craig, the floor is yours.
Anyway, as I was saying before, I got distracted. Look, I've addressed two classes of people here today. Class number one are people whose sepulchre full with dead men's bones and claim they're coming after me because somehow I violated this moral code for which they themselves have not lived up to. And two,
they have no moral code.
Two, there's a second class of people that I hold in high regard, and I mentioned one name of that young lady, and I hold her in the highest regard, and I have mad love for her, right? And I am sorry that she has allowed herself to
subtly be manipulated.
Yes, to fertilize this thing. And while she has not used hateful language towards me, her having gone there allowed many to think, and she didn't go back in her post and say, here, look, you come under my post spewing hate, this is not what I stand for, or anything like that. And not only her, there are several others, people who I know personally, people who know my family personally, who have gone on Facebook to have their moment, when they know my number and they could simply have called and say, you know, people who got my wife's number, who could have called her and say, man, tell your husband for me, I'm really disappointed, or something like that. And myself and family are not people who don't listen to people. We are very affable, and So that's the two category of people. My esteem for that young lady is still very high. It came down a little notch because, you know, thing, but I still got mad love for some of these people. I will not hold it against most of them, but those people who trying to lecture me, don't think you could come and lecture me. My life is out there, and my life is plain and simple. Y'all ain't got nothing on me. One word, slime. That is what y'all talking about, slime up. That is it where y'all coming after me for? Man, come on. Y'all ain't got nothing on me. My life plain, open, and clean. Yeah? Where y'all could come to me and say, well, I went on a scholarship and all of that is bare lies.
You have a serious moral fault though that people control you. You have no respect for other people's time. You're always late.
Well, such is life.
Is that a great moral lapse?
No, I got many things to do.
But I'm glad you went in that direction. Because all my life I have said to people, you got any moral authority to make criticism? If you know the people, if you open the Starbuck News and see these letters and see these press releases that Starbuck carry, the Starbuck News itself is no example of correct and decent journalism. You know, Mr. Mike McCormack is the head of GHRA since 1979. And you will be criticizing the government, and you stay in there, you're in your 80s, denying young people leadership roles to come up. The Starbuck News tell one of Guyana's most accomplished scholars in international relations, Dr. Randy Prasad, we're not carrying your letters. They're attacking civil society organizations. Those are things that people need to pick up on. Those are things people don't pick up on. You know, a man arrogating himself the right to lecture people and talk about governance. And he wrote a letter telling people they're soup drinkers in the papers because they see intellectually different from him.
Yeah.
You know you know what the editor of the Starbuck News called me? I have been around this space a long time. What indiscretions have I committed? Called me a PPP lapdog. Here is the editor-in-chief of a nationally known newspaper calling a well-known public intellectual, academic, and social activist a PPP lapdog. You could say a PPP apologist. You know, and nobody talks about, you're seeing these things in social media. Nobody telling Anand Prasad, man, how you could be so stupid and vulgar to call the man a PPP lapdog. You couldn't use a better word. You know, I'm going to give people an incident. We have to analyze what's going on. So just this last one. I was at the gas station at Ogle, and I admit, I don't know, I'm always a little bit damn crazy. I admit that. I think I didn't, the guy was the only one at the counter, and I just carried the thing up. My dog was in the car, I parked in the sun, and he said to me, you know, Mr. Kissoon, you write so much and you say so much, right? But you must do the right thing. You should join the line. And if you know the man who was saying that to me, a man who signed the dismissal of hundreds of people, a man who supported Burnham's use of violence against people, a man who was high up in Burnham administration and made the lives of others extremely miserable, and he tell me I must do the right thing. And guess what they did, Leonard? I said, don't lecture to me. You have no moral right to lecture to me. Don't. And he said, I expected this, I expected this. I don't want him to lecture to me. He could tell me what is right and what is wrong. When I lived in Guyana, see what he did on the Burnham, did to people. Craig, go on, man.
Yeah, so having addressed the issue, that is it for me. There's nothing else to come from me on that. I am done with that. I have addressed that, and I am ready to move on. Anybody who wants to continue fighting up, let they fight up as if they're fighting with the wind, as if they fight in the air, and that's it. For me, I have addressed this. I've explained myself. I've explained how I come to that, and I admit an error on my part. And I also admit, not admit, I am giving this undertaking that in future engagements with politics and people and so on in the public space, in future engagement, I'll try my best to be as more thoughtful. In hindsight, sometimes I say, man, I should have gone ahead with the speech I had actually prepared and all of that, but this is part of life. When you go to a campaign meeting, there are different type of speakers, and at that campaign meeting, I looked at it and I said, man, all of these are serious speakers thing. And when I look at it, are the people who had to come after me. The chairman of Region 5 had to speak after me. The Tushao of Maracaibo, the Amerindian reservation in Region 5, the well-known Amerindian reservation in Region 5, had to speak after me. You had the minister, Sonia Parag, had to speak after me. You had the Prime Minister, the Vice President, and the President. And all of these people will come and speak about policy, this, that, serious speech. And I just thought that, look, my time was now withered down to 2 minutes. There is not much I could say, there's not much justification, and not time to really elucidate on what I have to say. And so I just said, here, look, you know what, forget speech, I just go in and hype up this crowd. And in doing so, you know, I get caught up in the moment, and off the cuff, I just, you know, went in that direction. And for the people who, you know, some people who call and say, man, I expect better than that from you and all of that, I accept that, and you know, I understand your disappointment, and I accept that, and it's moving on for me. This is the end of it for me. And thank you very much, and those people who still hold me in high esteem, we'll see how we could rectify from here on.
Well, there's nothing to rectify. A person in the vortex of an electrifying campaign. I mean, when you see those thousands People's Progressive Party getting, and you jump on that podium, you get carried away. And you get carried away by a peccadillo. You get carried away by an inconsequential slip of the tongue. And so be it that will happen tomorrow with other people. It will happen all over the world. Right, so just move on. When what you need to do is, before the elections on September the 1st, you need to bring out more of that without, of course, giving them a chance to libel you. Because even though you get charged with double murder, and you said John Jones got charged with double murder and telling me that he can sue you, although he got charged. Right, so, you know, so you need to continue on that. You need what I find about the PPP. And I am nowhere near the PPP or the PPP government, although I do have very close episodic rapport with the president and with Anand Dalal. And I have said it clearly. Anand Dalal is the second father I didn't have. Let me tell you clear, with pellucid energy, I cannot repay Anand Dalal for what he has done for me. My family knows that. So I don't have any ongoing sensitive tete-a-tete with any PPP person except President Ali and Anand Dalal. But sometimes I wonder why these people don't set up a team. President Biden did it, and he called it Disinformation Board, responding to disinformation. Do you know how many things that you need to go out there? Like, I was speaking to that guy, Ameer Ahmad, yesterday. I was invited Mr. Ameer Ahmad on the program. And I said to Mr. Ahmad was telling me the nonsense people write about him. And I said, listen, reply because an innocent mind could read somebody said that you were in Barbados and you did this and that, and you were never in Barbados. Reply and say you were never in Barbados. So people could say, look what they're saying about the man. So the PPP need to set up, and maybe it's too late. The election is just on the corner. I'll give you an example. Christopher Ram was reported in the press in the Morro Babes of being very unacademic as a teacher in his class. And the PPP never responded to that.
This is
an
example.
There's a man that telling you must be
where was the outrage from these same people? I
taught for 26 years at UG. And you think I never went into the class and cuts up the PhD, cuts up Bonham? It's like a doctor taking the Hippocratic oath. You just don't say, me a time with you. You tell your wife she gotta wait for lunch, and you give that man the injection or what have you. And look what Ram was accused of doing. The UG issued a statement. And you never saw the PPP say that this is the man who's lectured to us. And that's a fault of the PPP. That's a fault of the PPP government. It just should have let people know this is Ram. Look what he did in the classroom. You know, no one knows. No one knows what happened after Ram. And I think Ram is still teaching at UG as part-time. So, you know, these are things. Craig, I am much older than you. Want to tell you things that people do. You pick up the papers and you hear all this, all that, and all. You know, there is a guy named Andre Brandley. Today is Wednesday. Today he has a letter in the Star book. He accuses the government of everything, say that 600,000 people voted in the election, whereas the 400,000 plus voted. He says 600, and he tell in Germany.
No, but
that man never writes about what Germany is doing. You cannot say in Germany, in any public places, as a teacher, as a lecturer, as an author, you cannot say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It's a crime in Germany. Ashmajan, whose father, the famous Ashmin, said that they were picking up people in the uncivilized hours and deporting them. That is the country of Branley. And he doesn't tell us about what's going on.
Yeah, but if you're saying that he's writing about something that is factually incorrect and known to be factually incorrect, how the newspaper publishing that? Because if we know that
Starbuck published it.
If we know that 400 and something thousand people
you know Starbuck News,
and a man writes a letter saying 600,000 votes, how could you publish that? That is factually incorrect. You either have to correct it and put a note, or at the end of it put a note that based on the official GCOM figure that the amount was 4, because the letter may contain other things that is useful for society. I mean, I didn't read it, but I'm just saying it may contain other things that Stabrook News may want to have aired as a view, but you got to correct that. You can't,
because that's not interpretation, that's fact. For example, For example, Carifest Avenue is a one way. You could only go use one. If somebody's saying, and that traffic on two-way street, you have to put the editorial saying Carifest Avenue is one way. The official results are out for 2020. 600,000 ballots were not casted. That's what Stab will get on with, and you don't read about that. You read about Craig saying something, you read about Jack Dio saying something. Jack Dio referred to somebody as a low life, and that is all over the place. And David Hines called a former magistrate while she was a serving parliamentarian a slave catcher. Craig, I've been around a long time.
I need to say this though, Freddie. There is one person, right, who I thought would have taken me to the cleaners. But that person who normally takes me to the cleaners on on their program, has a program and normally does that. The person texts me to say, hey, I hear you, you're getting vulgar. And I just type back, ha. And the person say, a paraphrasing here, that, you know, it is within the ambits of politics, and just be careful and move on. And in fact, I think one of the words they use, I love it, right? And that is somebody who's deep in the opposition thing. But in between all of these people, you're gonna have some conscious ones who understand that, you know, in history, it happens all the time in every election campaign. Some of the smaller campaigns around, you don't get to hear some of the things that people say, and some of these indiscretions do happen.
But people have to know. People have to know the names of these people who go out there and do so much nastiness. Somebody told me that David Hines was threatening to sue me for libel. You realize when that case is called and you start to play the videos of what David Hines saying, when those people tried to burn down Guyana on April 28th after the postmortem, you should say what David Hines said. He's in support of what those people did. When you play for the judge that David Hines said, don't push your mouth in black people business. When you hear David Hines accusing the government of the worst form of racism, when that judge heard he telling a sovereign parliamentarian for defending her race, you're a slave catcher. You see, this is the barefaced. You know Rickford Burke sued Gail Teixeira. He sits down in his 10th to 8th building. And always know that
people. Investigation into what kind of... always know that there's an investigation for somebody.
And if he was in Guyana, the libel would be every day, based on what he say on Facebook. And I want to know, decent Guyanese don't say, man, but I tell you what though. I tell you what. You know who is the hero of Guyana in June 2025? The African race of Guyana. The African race of Guyana proved Walter Rodney correct. Rex McKay tried to hang a man named Arnold Rampersad in the Arnold Rampersad trial. In case people don't know, Arnold Rampersad has migrated back from Canada and lives a quiet life in Barbados. Rex McKay getting up, kind of people to come on the stand and lie. And Rodney saved Arnold Rampersad. Rodney addressed African people at a meeting and said, listen, you were enslaved and you kept your dignity. Outside of slavery, they tried to brutalize you and put you back in the plantation and you held your dignity. You're going to court. You're going to court and you raise your dignity. And did you know what black people, African Guyanese did in July 2025? June 2025, they rejected what David Hines was saying. They rejected Takuma Gonse. They rejected David Hines. They rejected Burke. And you know why? Why the PPP is swelling with young, decent African Guyanese from tertiary education institutions, from white-collar jobs. When they look at David Hines, and this lady, this parliamentarian, Gita Chandan, saying, how can she speak about Indians like that? If David Hines had got up and say, in the name of Walter Rodney, that I admire, you cannot speak about the things. Rodney wrote a book about Indians and Africans working together. If David Hines had got up and said that, you know the respect he would have got. But he called the woman a slave catcher. And decent African people saying, who is this man? That is what they're saying. Who is this man?
Yeah, so I think some of these guys are just out of touch. And
out of touch, you showing them lose the marbles?
They are giving people, and they're telling you the only reason for not voting for the PPP is because you're black. And behind that, there is no other real reason. you know, that people could understand that hey, look, and if you say that, here, look, you buy, let's say you buy half of their message, that PPP is this Indian racist organization. But you say to yourself, man, I've seen racism in Guyana all my life, but there are people who had fruitful friendship inside of this racism with people of the opposite race, of the other race, well, not opposite. But, and there are people, and I want to see if I can have a fruitful relationship inside of the PPP. And when people make such a decision, off of their own intellect, they attack you, and they tell people you are slave, this, you are that, this vehement, this racial vehemence. And I'm telling you that most people who are coming up these days, most of the young people, when these young Afro-Guyanese boys know that they went to school among East Indian people, and they may have even think of falling in love with an East Indian girl or what have you, and then they hear these kinds of things. And then they say, no, this is not my experience.
He don't live in Guyana.
Right? And
he got to go on the seawall and see how the motivation mix in.
And then when they go to make a decision, look, I'm making this decision for other reasons. The message of Hines, Ogunsei, Burke, and these others, Benchmark, and these others, it will then fall apart. It will then fall flat on its face. And we're seeing this before our very eyes. We're so many, I don't like to use the term too much, but it is a term in our lingo. So many of these ghetto youths are clamoring to Azruddin Mohammed. They're looking to a smuggler.
Squareheads.
They're looking to a smuggler
Nigel
for leadership.
Nigel,
when they have what we will generally refer to as fine leaders in the African community as Nigel Hughes. That is the general reference attached to Nigel Hughes' name. And people are passing up Nigel Hughes. They are passing up Sherrod Duncan. They are passing up Aubrey Norton and all these so-called black leaders of fine quality to go and rally behind
a man like that, who
can't speak, who has no experience.
Can you talking about that?
Who has no
the sordid history when exposed is only libel saving people from talking about him.
They're passing up all of these black leaders to go and rally behind this man. And isn't that a failure of your message? And they're not letting up, they're not changing their message, they're not trying to change their appeal, they're nothing. They're not even being creative with their leadership, they're not being creative with their message, and all those kinds of things. So I heard David Hines spoke at one of the rallies, and he told the people before him that when they cast a vote for the PNC, they're casting a vote for their ancestors, and do not split the vote. So if he's talking about don't split the vote, he's talking about don't vote for AFC, don't vote for Amanza party.
I don't know, I can't remember its name.
Don't vote for Brooms, because those are the ones that were taken out of APNU. So don't APNU AFC outfit. And if you don't vote, if you don't split the vote, then the subliminal message is a three-horse race. So they're lending legitimacy to Azruddin, right? They're not telling people don't vote for him. They're telling you don't split the vote. So they're telling you don't vote for AFC, don't vote for Amanza, don't vote for Brooms, right? So they're lending and giving legitimacy to Azruddin.
So you could also say, a voter could say, by the saying don't vote for Brooms, don't vote. And then I hear the call Azruddin name. I better vote for Azruddin.
Exactly, because what they're doing, They're splitting the vote in public in two camps, right?
Between them and Azruddin.
PPP versus us, or PPP versus the rest. But in the same vein, they're saying, don't split your vote, or those who are taken from us, or those who walk away from us, are not worthy of your vote. Vote somewhere else, right? So they are acknowledging a in two, but a three-horse race. So whether your vote split between us and Azruddin, it doesn't matter. It's going to help to put the PPP in minority. That is what they believe. And I don't know if they're not seeing that that message is failing. That message is only harming them. Because
but
the PPP is attracting people, new people every day on its own terms. PPP is attracting new people. It therefore means that the remainder now going between on two sides.
But there are older folks, African Guyanese folks, I would say from 55, 60 up, who gelled and interfaced with David Granger, Joe Harmon, the former education minister. You're not hearing about these people, as you once said in one of our dialogues here. These people need lending an ear to them. Because you know why these people must say, man, nah. With the direction they gone in, Granger must be saying, as a husband of 50-something years, as a husband of 40-something years, who brought two children into this world, as the head of the National Army, as the former head of the country, I can be associated with that. You calling an Indian woman a slave catcher because she defend
and a woman who Granger appointed to Parliament, and Granger appointed her, and I'm sure
was the legal advisor to his government.
And I'm sure Norton couldn't have, because Granger was the leader of the list. Norton couldn't, in his wildest dream, call Granger and say, you want to remove Gita.
Do you know? I wonder if Heinz threatened to sue for racism, but he can't sue for racism because when he loses it, they're going to put about $1 million, $2 million. What do you call it when you lose?
Yeah, the lawyer, whatever you call it.
Right. Cost, right. So I got to be careful. But he told me that Granger was very fond of one of the high-level guys in his office. That was an Indian guy. Yeah, I don't want to call the guy's name, because I want David Heinz. David Heinz what the hell? David Heinz threatening to sue people, not for calling him something, but for calling him a racist. Anyway, and you know, Buck last week, people called me a racist about 3-4 times.
Yeah. That is his daily mantra, and young people are looking at this and saying this kind of hate, this portrait hate.
But do you know?
I don't want to be.
Do you know? I could call 20 Africans in this country who would do anything for me. I just pick up the phone now and say, I'm in trouble. I pick up the phone and say, oh, listen, I got to pay this money. I am telling you, just my body friends. I don't think Buck has 3 Indian friends. I don't think I don't think David Heinz has 3 Indian friends. And they call people racist.
Right.
Takumo go and say, don't have an Indian friend.
And I think young people are seeing through the transparency of their message. And I don't think young people want a part of it. Yes, some of them might be trapped in it because of the environment they grew up in, and so on. But by and large, people are freeing their minds of that.
It's a different world now.
That message is falling flat on its face. And I hope they have the good sense. Now maybe too late to pull back. They might be saying, let's go full bleed. And let's squeeze every ounce that is left in this. It's just 3 weeks.
You call it the last fling?
Yes. And they're probably just saying that.
Last resort in extremity.
Right?
There's a Latin term for it. Deus ex machina.
In Guyana, we say the last hoorah.
Yeah,
right? And probably that's it. But I hope after this election is finished, I hope they go back to the drawing board. I hope they reformat their message.
No, I think that they will gradually fade out. No, I don't think they're going. I think bench up can tone it down. I think Heinz gone. I think Heinz may be leaving to teach shortly after because the semester is opening now. I think Ogun says 75, and he may be fading.
No. But the message, that message,
no,
is
but they ain't got
still there.
They ain't got nobody to pick that up and run with it.
No, man, I've seen some of the young people in the PNC. I see executive members of the PNC, young people spewing hate.
That is where Norton has fallen down.
There's a former AFC member that I held in high regard, a guy named Chichester from Perseverance, Myconi. I held him in high regard. Previously, he moved from the AFC, he moved to the PNC, and he wrote a thing the other day, and it, for a young man, and this thing was so racist and hate-filled, and I was like, I wondering what kind of country we building. So I am saying to you that there is residue of that message in some of the young people coming up, and I think all the older folks wouldn't just disappear instantly. A lot of the influence will remain, and I hope they have the good sense and good judgment to sit down, go back to the drawing board, reform their message, get rid of that racist message, reach out to the in East Indian constituencies and reform at their party, put up a strong, because like for example, when the PPP was placed into opposition, the PPP didn't sit down and cry, because when it was 2020 and I was summoned to the vice president's office, and I went there and we had a long discussion, and I think I told you that
who was the vice president then?
No, in 2020 I'm talking about.
Yeah, who was the vice
PNC,
president?
After the PPP won,
vice
president.
Oh.
Right? And I went to his office and we had a chat. And when I arrived there, the VP told me, look, you know that I'm very busy. I only got 15 minutes. And our discussion ended up to being almost an hour, because he found our interaction to be interesting, and he found substance in what I was saying and the discussion and where it was going. He found substance. And I think he told me from the beginning that I only got 15 minutes because I think he thought that my mind was closed and I didn't have a big open mind, and I didn't understand the national scenario and all of that. And he thought this is another opposition puppet coming here and he got to be dismissive, right? And I thought that was the reception. But then when he found that I was a person of substance, the discussion continued for almost an hour. The contents of the discussion, much of it I'm not at liberty to speak on, except to say that the vice president said to me pointedly, and I'm going to say this before we close out because the operator said we got about 3 minutes more. The vice president said to me pointedly that we have not responded very well to the charges of racism against us in the past. But in this PPP going forward, we are going to avoid those missteps, and we are opening up to Afro-Guyanese. And then he said something to me, and I looked at him at that moment. I understood that what he was saying, and I told him, if that is the route you're going, I don't mind being a part of it. If that is the route, I said I don't mind being a part of it. I love to be a part of it.
And now you've become a part of it.
Yes, and I see with my eyes. But here was something he said that I looked at him and I thought he was a madman at the time. He said, and the president said it recently, I was not going to say it in public because I thought it was an internal strategy, but it's open in the public and I can speak on it now. The vice president said to me that we want to win Region 4 in the 2025. This is since 2020 he was talking to me, you know. He said in the 2025 election, we are going to those communities, we are just going to dispel the falsehood, and we want to win Region 4. And I sat there for a moment, didn't say anything, and I looked at this man talking, and I thought this man is a crackhead. You hear what I'm saying? I thought to myself, this man was a crackhead. But the larger vision, I bought into that vision. And I said to him, not immediately. He said, think about it. I am not rushing you, whatever. Think about it. And, you know, a little while after, I told him I am in. If that is the vision,
and
that's
now
the
you're
movement,
in.
I am in.
Our time has come. In case you didn't join us and you're wandering in the background, we were broadcasting inside the children's playground. As you know, that was the brainchild of the First Lady. It's a lovely little children's park. It sits right inside the western part of the national park, and at the back is a children's playhouse. If you look at the back of us, there are children running all over this playground. That is part of our new type of filming, the alfresco thing. We're under a benab in the children's park in the national park. So we will see you on Friday evening. We have a guest on Friday. We open the floor to you on Monday with our call-in. We'll have a guest on Wednesday, and the show continues. Before I go, I don't care what people say about me, and I'm going to say it to you. Do not vote for these people. Often Ali is a better leader, and put Mr. Ali back. I say that unapologetically because I am saying that after seeing Guyana for more than 70 years.